Hey everyone, welcome to your restorative practice. We are going to use most of our props today, well, all of our props today. In particular, what I'd like you to have are 2 blankets or 2 towels, maybe a couch cushion or a couple of pillows. And I'd also like you to have something you can use like a strap. So a belt, a scarf, and even your towel could double as a strap. And grab that stuff, meet me back here. We will start out seated. And I want your seat to be comfortable, so I prefer for you to be propping yourself up on top of something. Nice thick couch cushion, even a chair would be great. So that your knees can relax towards the floor. And you might even want to pad the underside of the knees, especially if there's a lot of space between the knee and the floor. If you're sitting cross-legged like me, you don't have to sit cross-legged. It might be nice to give them a little bit of support. Do you have your strap close by, somewhere you can easily grab it? We'll just take a few moments here to sit up nice and tall. Relax your hands onto your thighs. Maybe close down your eyes for a few moments and just start to draw your awareness to your breath. Big inhale, big exhale. Relax your shoulders. So we're going to check in with the shoulders today. We'll do a lot of shapes that will open up through shoulders, range of motion. And that also, the body is a system, so it's going to translate throughout your spine. Your whole body will benefit. We'll start out with the neck, so just dipping the chin towards the chest. Take a big breath into the back of the neck, back of the shoulders. Then tilt your chin up towards the ceiling, any amount's fine. So really pay attention to your own body. Does not need to look like mine. Now honoring your own uniqueness. Dip that chin back towards the chest. And just start to find a movement with breath. So inhale up and exhale chin down. You might here too notice as you lift and lower the chin, how that feels, how that translates to the shoulders. And do you feel any different in the right shoulder than in the left shoulder? Like for me, for example, my right shoulder is chronically tight. So it feels like a lot more sensation on the right side just by lifting and lowering my chin. One more time. And then come back through center. Start by taking the gaze over your right shoulder. Back through center, over your left shoulder. So this lateral movement for the neck, for the head, just going side to side. And again, your own range of motion, also noticing how that translates down into the shoulder. And does it feel like one side is a little bit more stuck than the other? I'm asking you to notice these things, not to fix or change anything, but just to bring awareness to your body. One more time in each direction. Good, come back through center. Last little bit here for the head and neck, and we'll get into shoulders a little bit more. So start to take that in a full circle. It's like you're drawing a circle with your chin or your nose. It's like you're putting that lateral motion, that medial motion all together in a big circle or small circle. One more time in this direction, and then we'll change that pattern. So coming back through center, start to take the head in the opposite direction. One more full circle. Come all the way back through center. Find your strap. We'll do a little shoulder flossing before we settle into stillness. So you want your strap to be a little bit wider than your shoulders as you take it up and overhead, so you can keep the arms straight. You can let the strap kind of maybe come a little bit behind the back of the head and then back in front of the body. So we'll just start with that. Inhale up. Exhale back just a little bit. Press your chest forward. And back to the front of the body. Keep that breath coming nice and slow and smooth. It might be that your shoulders start to open up and the strap starts to come maybe like behind the thoracic spine, the upper back, or even the lumbar spine, the lower back. Do try to keep your arms straight. So if you just stick with a more shallow or smaller range of motion, that's totally fine. There's no real particular goal here other than to check in with your shoulders today. Assess. So twice more all the way through. And one last time. Good, so strap comes in front of the body. Relax your grip a little bit. Notice if you're holding your hands really tightly. I keep doing that. So just checking in with the hands. If you're creating tension in the hands, that's going to translate up the arm into the shoulder, neck. Everything's connected, right? The body is a system. Last little bit, we'll work with the lateral side body. So strap up and overhead, arms straight, and then pulling with your left hand towards the floor. Your right arm's reaching up towards the ceiling. So now your arms are perpendicular with the floor. And you can start to roll that left shoulder back a little bit. You might even look back behind you as long as that's not straining the neck and the shoulders. And then bringing it back to kind of that perpendicular position. So just a little bit back. And again, working with your range of motion. Doesn't need to look like me at all. It can be just a really small little movement, and that's valuable. Twice more on this side. Bring that left arm up towards the ceiling so your arms are perpendicular with the floor. Pull with that left arm all the way through center. Continue with that left hand until it's on the opposite side and the right arm's up towards the ceiling. You start here, and then on your exhale, maybe you roll back through that right shoulder a little bit. Just find your own range of motion here on this second side. Stay with your breath. Twice more. Good. Bring your right hand back towards perpendicular. Reach it up towards the ceiling. Let that pull you all the way up. You can set your strap off to the side. You might roll out the shoulders a little bit. Shake up the wrist if you need. We'll set up our first long hold shape. So we'll take one of our towels or our blankets. Unfold it until it's like a nice big square. And then I'd like you to roll it into a tight, long, like hot dog-like shape, right? So it's a long, tight roll. That's going to go towards the upper 2/3 of your mat. And what we're going to do is we're going to drape our spine along this blanket roll. With your second blanket or towel, you can keep it folded, and it's going to go at the very top where the back of your head's going to rest. So you get a little bit more padding for the back of the head. If you have a pillow or blocks or something, you could take that underneath the backs of the knees. So when you come down, My sits bones are on my mat, and it's just like the very beginning of my lumbar spine. That's going to start to drape down onto the roll of the blanket. And the idea here is that the scapula are framing out this little tootsie roll we've created, and they're spreading across the blanket as you stretch your arms out wide. If you need to adjust the towel or the blanket that's underneath the back of the head for a little bit better support, go ahead. You could also use a pillow there. I want you to think about keeping your neck relatively neutral. So if you have too much underneath the back of the head, you're going to start to strain the neck a little bit. See if you can keep it relatively neutral, which is why I like blankets and towels underneath the back of the head. Settle in here for about 3 minutes. Set us a timer. You can close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Feel the weight of your back body releasing into the support of your props, your mat, the floor. So you might even imagine that each exhalation, the body becomes more and more heavy. So you lie here in stillness, continue to relax those ancillary body parts, like in particular the jaw, the neck, that space between the eyebrows, the flesh around the eyes. It's all these micro muscles of the face where we tend to hold tension, and oftentimes they're very unconscious patterns. Take about 2 more breath cycles here. And then to release out of this, just gentle, because this can be quite intense on the spine. So we'll roll off to a side. When you're ready, you can press into your hands, lift up. We'll take this Tootsie Roll or this hot dog style blanket roll and we'll turn it. So now it's going to be horizontal. And we're going to place this on our back, right where the tips of the shoulder blades end. So our armpits will be slightly above that. And then again with that folded blanket for your head, you can use that there. So there is some space in between for the shoulders, and you'll have to adjust this to your body once you get down there. Now, as you come down to your back, you might want an extra pillow or two, or maybe even blocks close by, because I'll show you what we're going to do. You can watch here first before you get set up if you like. So as you get settled here, this Tootsie Roll, that horizontal blanket underneath the width of the lumbar, the thoracic spine. And then you're going to stretch your arms up and overhead. Now, for some of us, it's fairly easy to stretch the arms up and overhead and the arms relax towards the floor. But depending on what's going on in your shoulders, that might be way too much tension. So I have blocks underneath my forearms and the backs of my hands just to bring the floor up a little bit higher. You could also use pillows, couch cushions. Okay. So really utilizing your props. Make this shape work for you. Don't make your body do the work if it's causing extra tension. This is one of the real values and the reasons I love a restorative practice is we get this opportunity to have some self-compassion. That might look like backing out of a shape when we need to, or adding extra props, or modifying in some particular way. Just under 3 minutes in this position. Keep coming back to this idea of each exhalation, allowing your body to be more and more heavy, more and more relaxed. Softening all those micro muscles of the face. Take 2 more breath cycles as you are. And then same way you came out of that other shape, rolling off to a side, go slow. Pressing into your hands, come up. We'll move this blanket roll off to the side. You might keep that folded towel or blanket there for the head, but you might need higher height, so we'll assess as we get into this. Now I'd like you to use your pillow or your couch cushion here in that same place where your blanket just was. It's horizontal across the width of your mat. We'll come into this fetal position with the side ribs resting on the height of that pillow and the arm threaded through this little valley in between your folded blanket. Now, this, for me, this bolster is really thick and dense. So as I try to lay my head down onto this, my neck is just a little bit out of neutral, right? So noticing that, I'm gonna add more of a prop underneath the side of my head. I'm starting out on my left side. Feel free to start out whichever side you want. We'll do both sides. So we're in this propped up fetal position. And your top hand extends towards your bottom hand. And we'll just start to rotate through this top arm. So you're gonna draw circles with the top arm. Big 360-degree circles. And as the arm scoots back behind you, you might roll a little bit towards the back of the head. Back to that fetal position. Twice more with those circles. Utilize your breath. Good. And so we'll find some stillness, and you're going to pick that sticky point. Right, so for me, when I sweep my hand, my top hand back behind me, and I roll a little bit to the back of my head, whew, that's a lot of sensation. That's a pretty sticky spot for me, so that's where I'm going to stay. And this is also happens to be a bit of a twist for the spine, which feels quite nice. So my top arm, which now is kind of like back behind me, it's almost like I did a backstroke, right? And that elbow is just kind of floating there in space. It's not touching the ground. It's not even the goal. I'm starting to feel this sensation across the front of the right chest. A little bit of sensation down the spine, even into my hip. My right hip feels this. All along that right arm. So just draw your awareness to where you're feeling things. We'll just take 1 minute on this side. It's a little bit more intense. Utilize that breath here. I almost imagine like as if my right arm, as it's floating there, we're floating in water. So it has this quality of weightlessness to it. Fluidity. Coming back to your breath. Two more breaths. And now the top arm is going to sweep all the way back to fetal position on top of your bottom arm. You're just closing out that chain. Pressing into your hand, coming up. And we'll change sides. So you can simply just roll off to your other side. I'm just going to take my props to the other side of my mat so that I'm still facing you all, but you don't need to do that unless you want to. So now my right ribs are going to be close to the pillow, the cushion. I'm going to thread my right arm through. Make sure that whatever's underneath the side of my head is the appropriate height so that my neck is not being strained. It's relatively neutral. I'm just starting out in fetal position here. When you're ready for more, you can start to circle out that top arm. For me, it's the left arm. And this is just really to kind of assess where you feel a little bit sticky, where you feel more open. What's going on in the body? Utilize your breath. 2 more circles. And for your stillness, your hold, it might not be in the same way that you held your first side. Find that sticky point for you. It might be sweeping the left arm behind you a little bit, almost like you were taking a backstroke. And that left elbow does not need to come anywhere near the floor. See if you can find stillness or relative stillness. Like the reason I mentioned the quality of water is because there's just a little soft movement for me in that top arm. Almost like I were floating on a floaty in a pool. Stay with your breath here. Last 2 breaths. And then we'll close this down. We'll come full circle, left hand on top of right hand, if that's the side you're on. Either way, back to your fetal position. Pressing up into the hands, we'll move these props out of the way and we'll come into our final shape, our Shavasana. And there's so many different ways you can take Shavasana. You've heard me talk about this many times. Legs up the wall, seated meditation. All of your props can be utilized to support your body in Shavasana. We have a good 3 minutes for Shavasana, so truly make it your own. Enjoy some legs up the wall today. If you think you're going to get a little bit chilly, please add some extra layers of clothing. You might even turn off some lights or place something over the eyes to block out any external distractions. And then just a reminder, trick for tapping into the soothing parasympathetic nervous system is weight on the belly. So that might be the weight of the hands or a nice heavy blanket or some pillows. If you have a child at home, you can ask your small child to come sit on your tummy. A cat or a small dog might be more amenable. You get the idea. Let's relax the shoulders away from the ears. Slightly tilt the chin towards the chest. Big breath in. Open mouth, exhale. So Shavasana, let your back teeth part. Let your tongue widen at the base of your mouth. Lips slightly part and relax, soften. The eyes sink heavy into their sockets. All those micro muscles of the face, relax and let go. Couple more breaths here. Feel free to stay longer in Shavasana if you have the time. If you need to move on with your day, just slowly awaken fingertips and toes, head move side to side. When you're ready, bending your knees, roll off to fetal position if you're on your back. Pressing into the hands. Briefly, we'll come up to a seat. Ending by joining the hands together at the heart, bowing the chin into the chest. Just take a moment to honor your effort, your practice. Check in with yourself. May you remember that you will always be okay. Find a white light that guides you and keeps you safe. Have hope, help, and happiness. Namaste, yogis. All right, thank you so much.